your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down. Wait, who the fuck is doing the third voice? Uh-oh. Forwards.
No, backwards.
To port.
Left.
That's what I just said. Oh my god, this is perfect. Camera, action. No, I can't join you on this door. Door? Sure.
But isn't the water freezing cold?
No, not really. I mean, yes, it's so cold. Shivers. Oh. But this door, question mark, won't hold us both.
I told you you're a fat bastard and need a diet.
Listen, you little I'm up for swapping roles anytime. Just because you're the director's right hand. I mean, oh no, you have to let me go. Shivers again. Oh. Wait, drowns? You don't really expect me to just let go? Yes, I do. Little me, would you care to help him?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm not just gonna... Are you trying to pry my fingers off? Hey!
Just let go.
Here, use one of these.
Thank you.
Ow! Hey! Don't smack him with it.
Oh, I see.
How? You just shot at me. How dare you? What if that hit me? I'll have you know there. You are such a shot.
You try aim a gun with someone's arm in your behind then.
Oh, no, I'm good. Step aside, let me handle that. People might be in danger of getting hurt by you. Hey, that's dangerous. I'll have you know that. Was that a bit much, maybe?
No, Mediaahh. Stunt replacement. Oh. Don't leave me all alone, even though you were supposed to sink down, not lift off.
I'll take that as a no. Whatever. Cut. That didn't quite go down how I pictured that, but it shall suffice. Let's do another take though, just to be... Weird. That's way ahead of schedule. Oh, yeah, none of that ever happened. Not me having a chill time with little me, nor reenacting the scene from Titanic, if that was even still recognizable. And there is also no third me, as of yet. Just consider it all a dream. Ooh.
But my acting, it was so flawless.
Well, most of it was a dream. The personification of my questionable mental state?
Hello?
Quite real and no less concerning.
Why concerning?
Don't mind it. But this all-consuming laser beam of death, if you take it as a metaphor for the lightning hoods, it's not that far off. I told you before that affection is at their strongest when they start their very first war. And yes, it was technically me who declared this one, but the outcome's all the same. Anyway. Before I spout any more of my usual nonsense, welcome to part 3 of my great endeavor to at least take down one faction after what is now half a year. Even though it all keeps devolving into a game tutorial and layman's theater. Or maybe even a sort of therapy session. I don't know. Be that as it may, back to it. So last time I left off after declaring another war and obtaining an ally. And pocketing a small-ish bribe from a number of factions. Small unimportant details, am I right? I'm also still trying to figure out the supply chain. That will continue for at least part of this video, and I think it's easy to see, or rather hear, that my mood started to take a turn for the worse. Will you just fuck off? And since I don't take kindly to being interrupted, I unleash the full force of the floaties once more.
This war apparently continues.
Even if it's not that much actual force. But I do love them, even if the comments don't always seem to agree. Put cringe act of defiance here, crying, I'll show you who's wrong. Yeah, not gonna happen. I'm well aware of all its issues, trust me, I have first-hand experience. Which is not at all deterring me from building more of them. I must admit, however, that I also had some doubts when it came to battling the lightning hoods with just them. So I'm gonna design a new vehicle. And trust me, it's gonna be the worst one you'll see throughout this entire campaign. That's my assessment of that, feel free to judge for yourself. The main reason for that though is mostly down to this. You see, I was in a bit of a hurry. The enemies were no chill. And I can't exactly call a timeout after declaring war first. This is fully on me. Wait, I can't just admit to any wrongdoings on my end. Whatever, let's go. My vision for this was very straightforward.
Take a bit more and give a bit more.
To that end, I decided to build a bulky and thick hull from metal. Initially. In the hopes it won't just fall apart first hit like, put certain other vehicle name here.
Wait, the floaties?
Yes, the floaties, sometimes. Also, I somehow managed to break the fill tool.
How does this work?
But that just as an aside. And since what I've started building was not all that confidence inspiring when it came to the float, I also gave it some alloy here and there. Which really means around the whole thing.
You know, this looks an awful lot like...
No! Don't even say it. I realize this now. It's like the floaty base but made into a 3D object by extruding along the y-axis. I get it. And yes, it will have the hydrodynamic properties of a brick. A brick with a wedge on the front, but a brick nonetheless, while following the same front takes the brunt approach. Which also means it will have another fixed-ish cannon instead of a turret. A bit like a tank destroyer, right? And now, time for the first interruption. So think back to what I said in part 1. I, at that point in time, barely knew that there were new weapons, so of course I had yet to see them in action. What do you think were the chances that the very first non-deep water guard enemy I encountered had plasma cannons? Yes. Experienced players would probably have known from just the name. And that left me very much confused for the whole duration of that fight. Cause all I saw were parts of my vehicles explode for no apparent reason. Or rather, I saw entire vehicles explode for no apparent reason.
What even? What even just exploded?
The whole thing took around 4 minutes and I doubted my chances the entire time. But say what you will about the floaties, they came through in the end. At least the one that was still floating. How did I win then? Not an exact science, I'm afraid. My best guess? Gutting the insides with the squash heads. All the while weathering the plasma storm and intercepting enemy missiles. All of that, however, left one hell of a bad aftertaste. Losing 2 out of 3 vehicles to what I assume is a medium at best design doesn't bode well, does it? But undeterred, I jumped... Okay. Out of options, I jumped straight into another fight. Gotta defend the land I rightfully claimed. Water. This one, big plane with big laser, plural, and particle cannons. Yay. And due to the distance, I was only able to bring 2 units in, getting better and better. Lucky for me that past me put smoke on the floaties, and that the enemy flies in a straight line. How did I win this time? Gutting. Again. I very slowly shredded the laser array and the particle cannons. Right after which the engine died and it took a bath. And what should I say? Shooting torpedoes at aerial vehicles, very effective. By the way, that plane had a steam engine. Looking forward to explaining that at some point. But before I go on, I've now lost 3 out of 5 vehicles in 2 battles against 2 enemies. Not a good sign. Although, since we've now had a little sneak peek, the lightning hoods. Between the 2 vehicles that just had me struggling a little, you've essentially seen the entire essence of the lightning hoods. They very much specialize in high speed and high-tech weaponry. In a way, the polar opposite of the Deep Water Guard. Most of their vehicles are either planes or what is considered a thruster or skimmer craft, with the occasional outlier in the form of a regular ship. Planes don't need explaining, I would assume. The other 2, however, a thruster craft uses thrusters to... Oh.
So you realized that that sentence was a bit shit, right?
Yes, shush. What I'm trying to get to. They hover in and fly through the air using essentially brute force. Imagine a helicopter but without the copter, or the heli. Uses jet engine point down. You get the point. The skimmercraft, on the other hand, is a more elegant solution, but very much confined to calmer waters. It uses forward speed and hydrofoils, these little flappy things, to create... that's not hydrofoils. Those are rudder pieces. Interesting. See, I'm just as much here for learning as you are. Anyway, it uses forward speed and rudder pieces, these little flappy... what the hell did I do? To create an upward force that essentially lets it, well, skim around on top of the water. For as long as it's fast enough, that is. Once you drown a jet engine, good luck to you. If you can't find them, by the way, they make up most of the ships category for that faction. What most of their vehicles have in common then? If they lose their engine, they pretty much done. There's not exactly much armor on these. Instead you'll find shields here and there, which also turn off if the engine's going down. So yeah. For weapons, well... all of what they fired towards me a few minutes ago. Particle and plasma cannons, lasers and missiles. Or ramming should paths cross unexpectedly. And that's basically it. Have fun. And with that complete, you know what time it is? Let me explain how lasers and plasma cannons work.
No, you will not.
What? Why?
It says here in your own notes.
Explain weapons once you've used them.
You're not using them, so you don't get to explain.
But...
No, bad Mediaahh.
Okay, then whenever I use them myself. Do I have to actively build one for it to count, or is loading something in fair game?
We'll decide that on a case-by-case basis.
Sounds fair, okay. Back then to building a pointed brick. After thinking about it for way too long, I again put the Omni-Mantlet on, and cranked the number of barrels up to its maximum of 6 at a diameter of 150, which I later changed back down to 125. Now, building the cannon forwards from the firing piece into the front, not sure if that was the best idea, seeing as enemy fire will by design come from that general direction. And Past Me agrees. He put what he called a debris catcher in, aka an armor gap. The overall idea with this cannon is to just kinda saturate the air with an ungodly number of projectiles. It will be less accurate and do less damage per shot, but it should make it a lot easier to hit those fast
Why? Do you have trouble aiming?
No, as a matter of fact, the AI has. And by extension me. The problem applies to both. I'm serious though. But why? The answer to that is surprisingly simple yet complex. Leading the target. Every weapon needs some time to get the damage from the end of its barrel to whatever said barrel is pointed at.
You sure about that?
Nitpicky little bastard. But yes, all weapons do, even if the travel time of a laser beam is basically a rounding error. It still needs a bit of time.
Should I make a bad joke?
Do we need duct tape again?
No!
Good. Where was I? So to hit a moving target, you have to take into account how fast whatever you fire is, how fast that target is moving, and what direction it's going in, including how fast you move. And then calculate, or estimate, where your target will be by the time the damage carrier gets there. Whether that be rather concentrated light, or more tangible objects. Same rules apply. The faster the projectile and the slower the target, the easier it is. This can also be taken to the extreme if you move really fast. Fire backwards, anyone? The opposite is also true, however. Slow projectiles going after a fast target isn't as much of a problem if the target goes in a straight line all the time, since a straight line is something the AI or the manual fire control can predict, but few vehicles in the game will do that. Be it planes rolling and bobbing, ships going over waves, or the AI having a stroke and driving rather erratically since someone messed up the PID configuration. Don't say a word.
Haven't said anything.
But for all those reasons, I just fire loads of rounds in the general direction of my enemy. Wasteful, yep, but the best I can do with sorta cheap and simple cannons. So back to building... well, back to being interrupted. Good thing I'm not building down there, huh? It was another flying laser, which went similar to the first. But this time it didn't just fall into the sea, but instead lost control, flew up pretty high, and then fell into the sea. And I should add, the deep water guard also participated, even if just a little. It was this little ramshackle rocket launcher thing. And it was completely ignored until I manually gave the order to take some pot shots. And the very first hit was impressive. One moment it was there, the next moment there was a rapidly expanding debris field. And that was that. Back to the brick. After finding a hopefully adequate type and size of ammo, I call it done for the cannon. And yes, without testing it even once. Another thing I've done is I added cooling units at the front as additional shielding. My ideas get worse, it seems. After that, some necessities. Ammo and material storage, correct settings, you know the drill. And then, right back into combat. This time actually at my current construction site? I mean, it's not a shipyard, is it? Nomenclature difficult. But can you maybe start to see why this vehicle will turn out the way I said it would? I get interrupted constantly, not being able to form a single coherent thought on how to build...
Are you usually able to form?
Nope.
That was too fast.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, this time my ally came in handy. There was an Airy nearby that just mopped the floor with the two attackers. If you don't know what an Airy? That thing. If you don't know what that is, it's the only vehicle that has its own achievement for defeating it. Period. So yeah, it's strong. It's part of the Onyx Watch, but more details on them at a later date. Let me please finish up this cannon now. But Mediaahh, didn't you say it was done earlier? No, yes, maybe, I forgot something, okay? Recoil management. And now it's done. It's been over half a year since then, but I'm pretty sure I just wanted it done at that point. And you can hear in my voice that the weather situation didn't help with that either.
Holy, these waves, boy.
You know you can lift it out of the water when building, right?
Obviously. I even used it earlier, but I hate that it's caps lock of all things. I just don't like accidentally screaming at someone in a chat. Something which I've seen happen many a time.
Yeah, that checks out.
It does, doesn't it? This is also why many years ago I've built this thing. I, for one, find it much more convenient. Ignoring the idiosyncrasies of a docking station when building. That stuff can be confusing at times. But I didn't use it, so back to the matter at hand. I'm gonna add some finishing touches, like a deck, which is a nice thing to have on a ship, a little bunker around the protruding bits of the cannon, a pump, which I didn't even realize was not in there yet, so by last time's definition it was a raft until now, which also means it was floating just fine without one. A small pre-built engine. Let's start le engine. Engine. It's an engine, which has to be centered in the back, right between two ammo crates. Yeah, no, let me take those outside. Better. Much better. Where was I? Ah, yes. Missile and torpedo defense, AI bits and bobs. An off-center mainframe. Sorry for that. I usually do love me my symmetry, but that just didn't work. Which is why, well, ideas.
I wonder if I could make 2 sort of redundant AIs.
No comment, didn't do it. Then propellers, thrusters and the rudder. Well, a few rudders. Which, thanks to the thrusters, are kinda out of a job.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they're down!
And while this vehicle, thanks to its larger vertical size, has a lot less trouble in bad weather, it still keeps losing thrust and control every now and then. This entire area is kinda only made for things that fly, submerge or are really, really big and heavy. And last but not least, the survival treatment. Small AA guns, munition and laser detectors, smoke.
That should be a very beefy version of the other one.
Done. And do you see my problem? I could have made that cannon double the size. There is enough space and enough buoyancy. Or alternatively, I could have made the hull a lot thicker. Only problem, it's already double the cost. So for better or for worse, please welcome to the fleet.
Floaty, shooty, chongus.
Dyslexic bastard, that's the second time for 3 vehicles. Whatever. Yes, yes, rain down praise for my creative naming. Thank you, hey, you're the best.
Are you proud of yourself?
Not gonna lie, I kinda am, yes. The names are straightforward and probably unique. Which doesn't mean this one is finished. There will be quite a few changes whenever I have some spare time. Be that adding fuel tanks, which I thought were included with the engine but were in fact not, adding more propellers to the back since it really is a brick, and also putting a rather sizable counterweight on it since it's just a bit front heavy. But how about I just let all that happen in the background while doing something useful? And you know what? Seeing this, I'm gonna set a goal for today. Those 2. I mean, I'm just a stone's throw away from one of them, ignoring that the floaties there have no materials. Nor do any of the others along the front line for that matter. I think I've talked about something similar before and why that is a problem. One of your vehicles repaired itself or another during combat and used up its materials? Well, too bad, it's now dead in the water and an easy target. Yep, I did. Which means...
Okay, give me a tutorial again. Supply ship A we will take from A, which is this craft.
Nah, don't worry, I'm not gonna bore you with that again. There's plenty of commodities to go around. Instead, I'm gonna go straight down there and pull back for a big punch. Or maybe to put some more distance between us, who knows. But this big punch better happen like now. Something is on its way. But most of this is nothing to write home about. A coastal defense gun, some houses, and a Falkenheim that gets torn apart like paper. These really do fall in line with me calling the Deepwater Guard good practice targets. Or maybe that actually makes them poor practice targets. I mean, look, the floaties also aren't anything to write home about. But in a situation like this, and keeping with the paper analogy, it's like owning a bunch of cats and getting one of those Japanese room divider things. It's gonna have a rapidly increasing number of holes pretty much immediately. Then why did I even bother including this one? Well, A, this is one of the faction centers after all, and B, I find this a very, very cool structure. A gantry currently in the process of building a moray, with plenty of detail like overhead cranes, crates and supplies all over the place. Did I...
Yes, you've done it again. Say sorry.
Sorry for my constant ramblings, but it's so cool.
Stop it!
But well, the downside of it being in construction, it no worky. Actually, never mind, that's a good thing. And while it is a cool structure and makes sense to exist, it is also kinda use and defenseless. And so it goes as you would expect. Same with that house and that water tower. And with that, another big moment. First faction base down. As much as I'd like to bring out some champagne and celebrate, or rather go visit an all-you-can-eat buffet because that's way more up my alley, I can't, since that might be difficult to find around here and I don't think I exactly have the time to. That one will be fun. There's something that makes that whole alliance thing kinda ridiculous to me. And that is that I'm pretty sure that the fastest Deepwater Guard vessel is still slower than most Lightning Hood vessels, which makes this group slow, like mind-numbingly slow. I mean, good thing for me since that gives me time to prepare, but from the Lightning Hood's perspective, this must suck so bad. Whatever, not my problem. Let the first combat test for the Chongus begin, is what I'd like to say. See, this was not supposed to be a full-sized battle in the first place, but instead a series of one-on-ones. Makes me like my chances a lot more. But apparently my first combatant was a floaty and it handily beat the entire enemy force by itself. But wait, how? I hear you ask. There were multiple Lightning Hoods forces in there. Well, no, there weren't. I think the bond these two factions share is rather lackluster. I somehow managed to initiate combat with only the Deepwater Guard forces. I don't know how, I didn't know that's a thing, but here we are. But that also means there will be a second fight. And speaking of being held back by the Deepwater Guard, they move so much faster now.
I need to stop them.
But believe it or not, that battle was really boring. It was two identical planes and it started at a pretty long distance. They, as far as I can tell, did not fire a single shot before being gutted by a single floaty. To the credit of whoever made them, by the way. Good work on the PIDs to make them fly so straight.
That's a pretty backhanded compliment, you know?
I'm sorry, that's just what happened. But after the first one went down without much trouble, or rather, up, I got bored. And you can tell when I'm bored by something since...
I see a face there. Does anyone else?
This is what I was talking about. Do you see it? If so, congratulations. That's called pareidolia. Looks a bit panicked to be fair, doesn't it? But all that aside, this time I will actually go full-sized battle again. And yes, I'm fully abusing that system to my advantage. And Chongus will have his debut. Shit French word for first appearance. And it took only a few seconds to find some issues. Some smaller ones that won't cause too many problems for now, and a big one.
It does not. Because I think I forgot the weapon controller.
Yes, I indeed forgot the weapon controller. So the AI can't actually fire the main weapon. But I very much can and will until the danger passes and I can fix that. One thing's for sure though, and that's always been that way. These types of cannons sound freaking awesome. Why does my brain jump to hiccup for this one? However, I can't actually judge its performance yet, since only maybe 0.1% of all shots hit, if that. Accuracy, huh? See, the target does exactly what I said is a problem. Up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and I think I'm slowly losing my mind.
Yeah, I have a feeling that happened a while ago.
Yep, could be. But I've won that battle in the end, and that's what matters. And I could have cut it out, but the Chongus might have run over a floaty at the end there. And through that lost his propeller privilege. Or as past me called it.
You lose your propeller privilege.
Now, my journey towards the Davy Jones outpost, which is the other Deepwater Guard faction center thing, was marked by a few more run-ins with, disgruntled locals. I mean, this is where all new enemy fleets are made, so they just kinda keep coming, but all of those were kinda uneventful. They are still broke after all. Really, the only thing of note during that time is that the entire eastern border shifted over by 1 square. All thanks to the liberal use of undead. See previous video for reference what that means. And with the new supply lines that creates... back to that. And finally figuring it out.
That one needs to be a creator with a higher index. That's why it didn't work.
Well job, Mediaahh. Good done. But let's continue. So next I take down the last remaining fleet of the Deepwater Guard, which is this one single vehicle they just built. And this against that? Yeah, a bit one-sided.
Okay.
Oh, but you don't actually have to do all of this. Like, take down every single fleet and vehicle. You only have to take down the base. All of them. From one faction. You get my point. And now it's time. Time to destroy the final holdout of the Deepwater Guard. Their last faction center. The Davy Jones outpost. And that other building next to it. And I wanna once more give props for the design. If this isn't a pirate fortress, then what is? But it's also one of those buildings that is more built for looks. Don't get me wrong, it has plenty of weapons, but many face the wrong way or are a bit shit. That said, I might have also accidentally chosen the best direction to attack from, who knows. But like everything else in the game, the faction centers are also subject to the damage rules. Given this sound, I think I won. Meaning the outpost is officially destroyed. Only thing left is the smaller unarmed building next to it. Which, I mean, yeah. Sorry that this might feel a bit cut down, but past me does not make for a good cameraman. But be that as it may, this officially means 1 faction down and 1 empty seat at the next council meeting. Let's hope no one asks any questions. And with them gone, all of their remaining territory turns into unclaimed water. Almost set land again. Which makes for very easy and fast capture. The other factions, to my knowledge, don't react to something like that at all, so it's basically mine. But everything just working out fine would be too easy. So think back to last video. Do you see anything amiss? Remember when I was talking about units being teleported across the map at complete random? Take in this clip and tell me if you see it. I was very confused at the time, both while I was looking for it and when I finally found it. I cannot explain it, period.
Where? What the fuck? How? No, just disappear. I have a feeling I now know how this happened.
But since I can't do anything to prevent this in the future, I'm just gonna move on. That includes, but is not limited to, preparing to invade my new neighbor's territory. I mean, no one could have expected this war, but I do think it's my mission to see it through. But that will be the subject of next video. So see you there.
Wait, you got paid to start it and you even deliberated which option is most profitable.
You know, once all this is over, I can blame it on whoever I like. Who's gonna correct me?
I will.
I'm sure you will. But let's call it a day, shall we?
Sure.
Okay then. Bye.
Bye.
Sure has been a while. Okay. And like all this for what? For like a few seconds in a video. And they don't even make all that much sense, do they? Okay, let's see. Let's have some fun. All she's got, Captain. This is sketchy as hell. I just need to get in front of it somehow.